Hello, everyone. And this is Sincere of Teacher Sincere's channel, and welcome. I wanted to share a clip, about around 5 minutes, from a YouTuber called Days of Noah. Noah is African American, like me, and I've been watching his channel now for at least 6 years. Well, I'm thinking close to 8 years. And Dayz, as I'll call him, um, I have a lot of respect for the man. He is very, very intellectual. Probably one of the most intellectual African American men I've seen. There are others, okay. Um, and so in this video, he's going to talk about the importance of reading to children. Days his channel is about a lot of the trends and the events that are happening in American and Western society and just the world in general. And he is a Christian YouTuber, but his channel is not about scripture. He really is trying to put out there to let people give people a sense of what is going on, because there is a lot of change right now, and people really don't. A lot of people really don't understand or know what they're looking at. And so what he does is he exposes a lot that is going on in the society. And I've been watching him. Like I said, I started watching him probably when he had maybe about 30 or 40,000 followers, and now he has over 100,000. And so his channel is really good, and I really really liked what he was saying here, because I think reading to children is very, very important. My parents did it. My father invested a good bit of money when we were children, and when he was a young man, my late father, that is, into buying books. During his lifetime, he bought 4 sets of encyclopedia, and he also would subscribe not only to book clubs for himself, but he also subscribed to book clubs for his children. Um, we were really encouraged to read, and our parents read to us. Um, my mother says that when I was maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit less than 2 years old, um, there was a book that my father bought for me, a little book, and I just adored that book. And mom says that she read that book to me so much because I wanted her to read it to me over and over again, that she basically memorized the book, and she wouldn't even have to, she really didn't even have to really, at one point, she reached the point where she didn't even have to read actually from the pages, because she had memorized the text. But it's very, very important for people to read to their children, to have time to read. And Dayz talks about bedtime story hour and or bedtime stories. My parents didn't necessarily read to us before we went to sleep at night, but they would read to us during the day. And I recall, the fun that my father had reading to my brother when my brother was a little boy. They really, really, they developed a strong bond. So it really is very important that that parents expose their children to books. I mean, even you have the internet now, so even if you cannot afford to buy books, because I know a lot of books are they're not cheap anymore, and but you can find free books online. Um, if you live in an area where there's a good library, take your children to the library. He's going to talk about all of this, but it's really, really important to instill this love of books into children, because reading does so much to develop the mind. Now, if you just read anything, it's not going to develop your mind. When I was a young person, I enjoyed reading, sort of trashy novels, romance novels, and things like that. I don't read things like that now. I read the heavy duty stuff, um, you have to evolve in your reading. You're not, a lot of times you're not going to you're not going to start out reading the classics. That happened over time for me. I got more exposure. We had some classics in our home. We had like the Harvard Classic series, and Dad bought a lot of other books, but I just wasn't interested at the time. I went through that phase as a young girl, wanting to read romance novels. And I remember when I was in school, some of my peers, they were into Stephen King books and things like that. Those were the two type books, romance novels and sort of the horror thriller novels like from Stephen King. Those were the types that my generation and my peers, some of them really liked. Now, with a lot of times with African American children, a lot of times parents did not read to their kids. A lot of African American children, I'm not saying all, but many times the parents let or the parent allows the child just to sit in front of the screen, okay, or the TV screen. And I really feel that no one, children or adults, should be using the television as a tool for education. You really need to read. Reading helps you to really appreciate language, helps you to develop critical thinking skills. It really it molds the brain in a way that is really really beneficial. And like I said, you don't have to start out with the really difficult intellectual type stuff. You can start out very very small. I did. I mean, I didn't I read, the classics and things like that now, and difficult, Christian philosophy and things like that, but I didn't start out with that when I was younger. But anyway, I just wanted to show this clip because I think what he says is really important. And it's something that parents need to do. He now, like me, Dayz is really concerned about the use of AI. Okay, what is this evolving to? This use of AI. Previous to the clip that I'm going to show, he was talking about an app that has come out. He showed an article of this app that's been brought out for children to use for bedtime stories. But what we don't need to do as people is to submit our brains to the machine. Okay, we should not be allowing the machine to do everything for us. That um of course there are people that are going to do it. I spoke a couple of months ago to a Turkish man, and he was talking about, he's an engineer, and he says he uses things like Chat GPT, and he was saying that he was saying it's good, but it's not perfect, and also he says there's the room for abuse of it, and it is. So I think we need to be really careful about AI. And Dayz talks about these types of things on his channel. Now his channel, like he says, is an acquired taste. It's not for everybody. Okay, it's not for everybody, but it's a very important channel. Okay, because I really feel that what he is doing is exposing a lot of what is going on, a lot of things that are below the surface, and also things that are, right in front of people that they can't really see, because people have different levels of perception. And I think, particularly with reading, I think reading over the years, reading both secular and Christian books, have really helped to develop my perception. Now, if I had just, looked at television, I haven't looked at television in 11 years. I don't watch, let's see, it's 12 years now. It's going on to 12 years of no TV. I think if I had just only been a person who just watched television, I would not have the kind of perception of how I see things um that I do if I just had just said, okay, I'm looking at something that's mainstream and this is passive, because reading is not a passive activity, whereas watching television, or say if you're watching something on the internet, that's passive. But reading takes a lot of effort and energy. And so yeah, but I don't want to talk much longer here. I'm going to end here, right here, and go ahead and let show this clip of what Dayz is talking about. I have a video coming out uh, soon. And I want to start moving into sort of more controversial waters, but I'm going to continue to focus on books and history, my great passions in those areas. Okay, so I'm going to end here, and I will be putting a link in the description to Dayz' channel, so check it out. He does not do regular videos, just post videos. What he does live stream. So if you want to keep up with his work, go to the live stream tab on his channel to look at his work. He usually records weekly, not always, but lately in the last year or so, he has been more on a regular schedule. All right, so I'm going to end here. I hope you enjoyed this video. And so I'm going to go from here and let you enjoy the words of Dayz of Noah.
Do you know how important bedtime story time is for a parent and a child? I would argue during the first 5 years of life, it's one of not only the most rewarding experiences for a parent, but also one of the most, I would say, fundamentally, I guess, structural or cognitively advantageous experiences a child can have. Right? It's very important to read to a child every single night if you can. I know some parents have strange work schedules, and you got to balance that out, right? Someone got to do it every night. Not only will the child's understanding of the world be insanely increased, right? Just through the exposure of story and narrative and image and concept, but their command for the language will be immense. Now, of course, this will all be dependent on the levels or the child's genetic level of, say, IQ, et cetera, et cetera. There's always going to be developmental difference, right? But even with that, reading to a child every day is going to transform how they develop in many ways. And it's also it builds a relationship between parent and child. It's intimate. It's hard to put in words. It's really hard to put in words, but there isn't any feeling like it. Okay. But here, what I see, new generative AI app lets kids create bedtime stories. So now what you're doing is you're disrupting that process of parent-child and the reading process. I personally believe phonics is discovered almost indirectly / directly through reading to a child prior to their ability to even be able to understand words. They're seeing words, especially if you as you read, you scroll with a finger. So they start to see letters come together and they start to understand concept through the coupling, because their brain automatically does this. It couples the images they're seeing with the story that's being said, but also when they see the words, what it does is it starts to form. Humans, God is so good and so great. We have this predisposition to language and understanding concepts through visualization, that if you do this stuff enough, the child will be reading with very little effort. It's such a beautiful thing to witness and to be a part of. But what this does is it takes away from that arrangement by almost giving the child something it's not prepared for. Writing books, making stories. No, it's beautiful to go out with the child to libraries and to bookstores and to have them pick out books based on the colors or the imagery or maybe the characters, or you personally pick them out because you read them and there's certain messages that you approve of, because a lot of them books don't got good messages. I'm gonna just put that out there. But this is another part of the joy of the experience and the process, is going out together and picking out books. It takes away from all of that. What it does is it disrupts it with a type of technology that I would say robs the child of a type of innocence. Also a type of duty on the parent to introduce narrative and story, concept, imagery, character. It disrupts that duty of the parent by giving it to the AI to structure for the child, yet a little bit advanced because the child's picking the story this time, similar to how they would pick stories based on images at the library or at the bookstore. They do the same kind of process, yet they're in control. They become, in a sense, they become independent far before they should be independent in such a way, if that makes sense. I don't like it. I don't like it, especially when we just looked at what screens kind of do. And then we add in the AI, and what this does is it already structures the child to accept technological guidance in most things. Like, let the program tell me what it's going to be, or guide me, or make everything for me. I mean, I'd rather you sit down and get some paper and draw images and make the book. I mean, if you, especially like infant, or not infant, but like toddler books, are real simple. You know, you could come up with a little narrative and just tell the child, oh, draw this, draw that. You can make it. That'd be even more fun. It'd be more of an experience, right? But see, they want to trade everything real and human. They want to trade it for a type of technological solution. And this is just another example of that. Just another example.